Well, good morning and welcome to another week of HRTM 270. Last week we looked at recipe conversions and how we convert our recipes from one yield to another, right? So how do we go up in yield or down in yield and keep our ingredients at the right amounts and things like that? This week, probably in my opinion, one of the most important lectures that we do in 270, and this is recipe costing. So how do we take a recipe, know what it costs us when we purchase the food? So what it's actually costing us, and then how do we figure out what we're going to charge for that recipe? You know, if we've got a cheeseburger and French fries, very basic, very simple, but a cheeseburger and French fries, what are we going to charge for that cheeseburger and French fries? You know, are we just going to pull this number out of thin air, or are we going to, actually have a formula behind it that we go with, right? Well, of course, we have a formula. We're not just going to pull a number out of thin air. So, and that's what we're going to look at today. We're going to get on here and we're going to go through our PowerPoints, and we're going to make sure that we truly understand how we know what our cost is, what our recipe cost is. That's the first thing. We've got to know what it costs us. And the chef in your business, the chef in your establishment, or your F&B director, whoever it might be, they should know these costs, and they should know them pretty much off the top of their head, because everything has to be costed, right? We don't just pull anything out of thin air, you know. And what this does, by costing these recipes out and then by coming up with the proper menu pricing and things like that, what this does is it makes sure that we're not ripping off our customers, number one. Number two, it helps to make sure that we are profitable. Now, there are other things that go into this, right? We have to make sure we stay within our food costs, within our labor costs, within things like that, to ensure that we're profitable. But this is a big way to help and make sure that we're profitable. If we're doing everything else right and the menu price is right, then we should be a profitable restaurant. And at the end of the day, if we're not a profitable restaurant, we're not going to be open very long. You know, if we're not making money at what we're doing, then this is just a hobby, right? That's really all it is, and it's not a business. And a business is not going to be open for very long if it's not being profitable. So we're going to look at that today. The first thing we're going to look at is how we actually cost out the recipe items themselves. So how do we come up with the price of a single recipe, and then the price of a single portion of that recipe that we actually serve to our guests, okay? And then once we have that, next week we'll really get into the menu pricing and things like that, okay? You don't have a lecture assignment this week. Hopefully you finished up the conversion assignment, and hopefully you'll spend some time and look at these PowerPoints in this video and understand the costing. Next week we're going to talk about costing more. We're going to really look at the menu side of it, so the menu price, and how we get our menu, our final menu price that we're going to charge people for. And with that, then you will bring both of these lectures together and have a lecture assignment on that. But nothing to worry about this week as far as the lecture assignments goes. So we're going to jump in and look at our PowerPoints now, and let's see if we truly understand this and start going through exactly how we come up with these numbers, okay? So let's check this out. All right, guys, so here we go. We're going to look at how exactly we can cost out our recipes and our menus and things like that, so that we have a more accurate price of when we're charging our customers. We know exactly what we should be charging them. So why is this important? Well, it's like we talked about a moment ago, it makes us profitable. It also helps us to make sure that we don't have a really high increase in one of our products all of a sudden. You know, if beef is running at $8.99 a pound, and then it seems like we're not quite making as much as we were, and we go back and look, and now we're paying $15.99 a pound. Well, there you go. We can. It helps us to keep an eye on it there as well. So it helps us to keep on budget, and it also helps us to regulate our expenses by knowing what we should be spending in food and things like that, okay? So we're going to go through this week, and we're going to come back to it next week. We're going to talk about it a little bit more, okay? So let's look at it. This is a standard recipe that we have. And in our standard recipe, it's just like always. We have our what our recipe is and how much it makes, number of portions or yield. And then we have our ingredients listed, and we have the amount that we need for those ingredients, right? So we have ground beef, 8 ounces of ground beef. We're making quarter-pound cheeseburgers, so that's what we need. And what we've done is we've added a couple of columns over here. So we've added a unit cost column. We've also added a total cost column, okay? The unit cost, this is how we purchase it. Okay, this is whether it's from Cisco or U.S. Foods or whoever our food service provider is. This is how we purchase the products. Okay, so we purchase ground beef by the pound for $8.99 a pound. We purchase hamburger buns 16 in a pack of 16 for $1.98. Ketchup is in a big number 10 can, and so on and so forth. Okay, over here we want to know. Since we know what we pay for it, we know how much we need for our recipe, what we want to know is, what does this cost? What does it actually cost us? Okay, and so the first thing we need to do is we need to get these two units to basically be the same, okay? If we can get these two units, the units of the amount, the units of the cost to be the same, this is going to be a lot easier. So you can see we're dealing in ounces here, we're dealing in pounds here. Now I know that 8 ounces is half a pound, okay? But let's look at it a little different here. And what we want to do is we want to break down this cost into ounces. So if it's $8.99 a pound, we want to see what it's going to cost per ounce, right? So if we do $8.99 divided by 1 pound, and 1 pound is how many ounces? It's 16, right? So $8.99 divided by 1 pound will give us our cost per ounce, okay? So there we go. If we do that, you can see 0.561, so just over 56 cents per ounce for our ground beef. Now it's simple multiplication, right? 8 ounces times 56 cents per ounce will give us our total price of $4.49.5. Okay. Now I round to 3 decimal places. This just helps to keep it a little bit more accurate. You might not do that, and that's okay. But I do recommend it, okay, because it will help you out. Let's look at our next one. We've got our hamburger buns, and they are 16 in a pack for $1.98. We know we need them 2. We're looking at individual. This is a whole pack. So it would be helpful if we have our price for an individual hamburger bun here. So if we multiply $1.98 by 16, we get 0.124 for every hamburger bun. So almost 12.5 cents per hamburger bun. Now we just multiply that by 2, right? Because we need 2. This is our cost. So now we multiply it by 2. So we're at just under 25 cents for a pack of hamburger, or for the 2 hamburger buns that we need. Our ketchup, 114 ounces. We buy ketchup and things like that. In restaurants, we buy them in large cans, right? We call them number 10 cans, right? Y'all have seen the big cans that we use in the kitchen. And so this is a number 10 can, 114 ounces. It cost us $3.18. Well, we only need 4 ounces, okay? So we want to know our price per ounce. 3 cents, right? Just under 3 cents. And now we just multiply across. We know how much we're putting on the burgers. We know how much it cost us per ounce. So there we go. We're just over 11 cents. Mayonnaise is the same way. We are at a gallon, and then we are at ounces here for our mayonnaise. We need to know how many ounces are in a gallon, and then we need to divide that out, right? So if we look that up and we see, then we know that we get our ounces. We divide this out. So you're just over 5 cents. If you don't know how many ounces are in a gallon, then you need to you can Google it, or you can look at the back of your course book, because it's on there for you as well. Okay. And now that we know our ounces per gallon, it's 128 ounces in a gallon, by the way. Now that we know our ounces per gallon and our cost per ounce, now we can multiply here, and we're at 16 cents. Same thing with our mustard. Comes in a big can, 105 ounce can, $4.28. We're looking at 4 cents per ounce. Again, we've got 3 ounces, so just over 12 cents for our mustard. Our lettuce comes in a 2-pound bag for $2.59. We need ounces here, okay? So if 16 ounces are in 1 pound, 32 ounces are going to be in 2 pounds. So 259 divided by 32 gives us our total here, just over 8 cents times 4 gives us the 32. Same thing, ounces in pounds, 3 pounds. So we figure how many ounces are in 1 pound, and then we said how many are in 2. That's 36. And then how many are in 3, right? And then we're going to divide that by $5.98. Okay. So if it's $5.98, we divide that by 48, and then you get your total here of 12.5 cents per ounce. Multiply 6 ounces right here by our cost per ounce, just under 75 cents. Same thing here. We're at 80 ounces, $12.37. 15.5 cents per ounce is what it's costing us. We multiply that out. We're just under 62 cents for every ounce. Now we have these guys right here. We have a price here and here, but we don't have an amount. We have 2 tastes. Well, how do we handle that? What do we do if it's 2 tastes? Well, what we have to do is we have to do what we call our Q factor. Okay? We have to do what we call our Q factor. And so our Q factor, we're going to take all of the items here that we do have a total for, and we're going to add those together, and then we're going to multiply that by 1%. So a Q factor is going to be anytime we have an item that the amount is so small we can't figure it, or if we have a 2-taste item, like this right here, okay? We have to charge something for it. We can't just say, well, you get it for free, have a great day. Because if it's costing us, we have to pass those costs along to our customers every single time, no matter what, okay? So we want to make sure that we do that. So we've got our 2-taste kosher or 2-taste salt, kosher salt, and our 2-taste black pepper. We don't know what those are. We do know what all these costs are here for these other items. So we're going to add those together. We come up with $6.82, almost 83 cents. Okay. We're going to multiply that by 1%. That is 0.01 on your calculator. That gives us 0.068. Okay. That will go in both of these. Okay. So you plug that Q factor number in every one of them. All right, so we have our Q factor listed. Now, what we need to do, now we know what everything costs. Okay, we know what all of our prices are here. We need to see what our total recipe costs. Total recipe cost is literally, we're going to add these numbers up. We add all of these together, and it gives us our total recipe cost. Our total recipe cost is $6.96, almost 96.5 cents. Okay, Now what we would like to know is what is the cost for what we're going to serve our customer. What is the cost for, this makes two, and we're going to serve them one. So what is one cheeseburger costing? So what we're going to do is we're going to take our total recipe cost and we're going to divide it by our number of portions, which is right here, okay? So this number, the total recipe cost divided by how many the recipe makes, okay, gives us our $3, gives us our $3.48, okay? Now, the last thing that we're going to look at is our menu price. We're going to go into more detail with this next week, but we're going to look at this one for right now, okay? We want to know what we actually charge. Now, anytime I give you an assignment, or if you see this on your final exam, it will always tell you what your food cost is. So we're going to say for this recipe, for this restaurant, we're wanting a 33% food cost. That means out of every dollar that comes into the restaurant, 33 cents out of that dollar goes towards the food. So then what does the other 67 cents go to? Well, it goes to the employees that are making the food. It goes to your mortgage and your insurance. It goes to your light bill. It goes to everything else, plus your profit, okay? Plus your profit. So we generally assume that if we can run a 33% food cost, we keep our labor cost in line, we keep our overhead cost in line, then we will be able to have a profitable business. Okay, so what do we need to do? How do we need to, knowing that this price, this total right here, $3.48, should be 33% of our final cost of our burger. How do we figure that? All right, well, it's very simple. Okay, our portion cost, so this number right here, divided by our desired food cost. That's our desired food cost right there, 33%. Okay, so $3.48 divided by 33% gives you $10.55. Okay, so that's what you're going to charge for your burger. Okay, now you could say we're just going to charge $10.50, and that's okay. You could say we're going to charge $11, and that would probably be okay, or $10.75. All right, but what you don't want to do is you don't want to look at that number and you don't want to say we're going to charge $75 for it, right? Because your customer knows, or even go and say we're going to charge $15 for it, because at that point your customer knows that that they're getting ripped off. They're not getting their money's worth. Okay, so you'll want to look at that. Now, this price you're probably looking at and say a quarter pounder for $10.55. This price varies in restaurants because every restaurant might pay something different for these items up here. Somebody might be getting ground beef at a better price. Okay, they might not be putting all this stuff on the burger. Okay, but anything we put on there, we have to consider as part of it, right? And we have to include that in on our menu price there. Okay, we're going to look at this one next week and make sure that you fully understand this. Okay, so as you go back through, make sure you understand this recipe conversion here with the costing, and then look at this menu price. Make sure you understand exactly how we got that. And then next week we're going to look at the next one as well as a little bit more into our menu costing. Okay. So if you guys have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to me. Let me know, and we'll answer any questions that you have to make sure that you really, truly get this and understand this. I hope you guys have a great week, and we'll be talking with you real soon.